I don't know. We're losing our minds a bit. Yeah, maybe there's snow on the way.
Oh my goodness.
But otherwise, well, thank you.
We're also experiencing the cold, just by the way, here in Cape Town. We've got a bit of sun now this morning, this late morning, coming in, but nonetheless, it's gloomy all the way. But we are still, hey man, we bring the sunshine. Even earlier on, we had a conversation with a young person, as it is, June month celebrating young people, and we were bringing the sunshine. So when you speak to me, you bring the sunshine. Don't even worry about it. So, Dirk, tell us a bit about your upbringing and education, and so that we can build up the story and get to where you are now.
Absolutely. Well, I grew up in Midrand, halfway house between Johannesburg and Pretoria. Back then, it was the middle of nowhere. I come from a family of teachers. My mom's a
Mm.
teacher. My dad's a lecturer. My grandparents were teachers and lecturers. So it was kind of, I think it was probably hoped that I would go in that direction.
Mm.
But I chose a different path, obviously, and it turned out where I am now. I went to study civil engineering in Stellenbosch after I graduated, well, after I matriculated. And then I was ejected into the world of construction and
Mm.
project management.
Mm.
So my first job was in Secunda, and we built a road between the coal mine and the Sasol plantation. So that was a bit of a wake-up call after the Stellenbosch Mountains and the scenery. Yeah, and then I went on to this journey of sales and marketing.
Mm.
I wasn't married. I wasn't married yet. I kind of got married between the one job and the other one. But my
Mm.
father-in-law then once we got married, my father-in-law then he came to me and he said, look, if you want to change your career and you want to move into a different direction, then let's go half and half on the MBA. And
Mm. 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 Mm.
so we then I did full-time MBA at Wits University. That was about a year and a half. And I must say that opened a lot of doors, which we can speak about in a moment, but it really moved me into a different trajectory and career altogether.
Mm. I was about to say and interrupt you there and say, how did the MBA shape the way that you think or the way of thought?
100%. I mean, it changed everything about what I thought I knew about building a career, right?
Mm.
I remember I first wanted to be a consultant. I wanted to design. I wanted to build buildings, and then the MBA, what it really did was to me, I found that I had more interest in people than I did in projects and assets and things like that.
Mm.
So I wanted to take my career further into working with people. And I wasn't quite sure how it would have done it at the time. And remember, the MBA is not a golden bullet
Mm.
for anything in your career, but it really what it did for me is it shaped the way that how I felt the type of leader that I wanted to be in the market.
Mm.
And I learned new concepts, theoretical also, but also practical on how
Mm.
to work with people and how to influence, not manipulate, how to influence people towards a specific goal. And you have those conversations with people who are trying to figure out the same things. But I was still young. I was 26 years old, 25, 26 when I did the MBA, so I knew nothing.
Mm.
Um, and my next step in my career was to enter into a business that could apply these new things that I learned.
Mm.
So I joined a fantastic company called Hilti, multinational global
Mm.
organization, and they were very much about people and culture. So it
Mm.
fitted very well with what I learned in the MBA. I
Mm.
could practice at
Mm.
Hilti, and
Becomes
there I
practical.
started right at the bottom as an account manager and built my way up.
Mm. So tell us about that experience and also leaving the country, because I believe that from there, that is when you left the country, and at that time you had just started your family.
Sure. I mean, the first thing I want to say is when you we I just when I joined Hilti, I knew that the they expected me to leave the country and work overseas. I joined Hilti as a global candidate, international candidate for training. So before I joined Hilti, I had this discussion with my wife, and I said, "Look, if I join this, this is the commitment. This is the journey we're going down." And when the time came for me to pack up and go, my son was 3 months old,
You.
and we thought at the time, my wife and my son and we would pack up together and move to Dubai.
Mm.
Uh, and my wife, Cara, she was still on maternity leave. She spent 1 month in Dubai, and we realized this is not a place for us, right? It's
Mm.
not great for her. It's not great for the son. So um, we decided that I would stay there alone for the next year.
Mm.
So I was commuting back and forth from Dubai to South Africa. So the first year of my son's life, I guess, I wasn't really that involved in a very hard decision to make.
Mm.
Um, but you can only make those decisions with your spouse and with your wife. And then I
Yeah.
also think there was this very strong grounding in Christ that we prayed about it, and we needed to keep it together, and we needed to understand that this is a journey that we could succeed in. And and
Mm.
true to his word, I came back, and we're still happily married. We've been married for 11 years, and we have now three
Amen.
children. So
Amen to
it's yeah,
that.
yeah,
And he even
yeah.
multiplied the family. Look at God.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
No,
Three's enough though. I don't know if we're going to four. Three's good for now. Thanks.
what are their ages?
So my eldest, he's turning 7 next
Oh,
month.
wow.
He's a boy, and then my I have two girls, and she's 4 years old, and my youngest has just turned 2 years old. So I've been changing diapers now for seven
For
years.
the last 7 years.
We're
Look at
done.
you.
Yeah.
You're a champion, man. Now, tell us a little bit about coming back to South Africa, having had, that experience, international experience in terms of work and that work culture that you speak about. If you could take us through that.
Good. So the projects that I was involved in overseas, it was slash between sales and marketing, but I also had a stint in HR, and I was
Mm,
involved in a global initiative and how you engage your people globally in an organization, and how
yeah.
do you bring that culture through to I think it's almost 120,000 people. So
Mm,
it's huge. Um, and so when I moved back to South Africa, I had now this wealth of experience sitting in the room with global leaders and global thought leaders also on different topics like diversity and inclusion, and also what are the fundamentals of a culture, starting with with values in the business. And I think the first thing that the foundation part is it needed to fit with my values, which it did, and it does. So I think that's the easiest kind of launch point, is that the values of the company fit with me. So when I came back to South Africa, I could speak from the heart, and
mm,
speak from what I believed in, and implement that in the teams that we were working with, and bringing that through. And I think that's a very important point. And I was speaking to someone this week about leadership and working with people. Your job will be the most difficult when you're trying to be someone that you're not. I think that's the
mm,
first thing you need to do, is be who you are, and let that shine rather than suppress any of that. So you really need to be who you are. And if you're
mm,
not going to do that, you're going to have a very tough time dealing with yourself. Um, and yeah, so that's kind of where it talks about culture. It's cultures. Uh, you're looking for people with commonality, but also with diversity,
mm,
but also just kind of people who are working in the same direction. And I
mm,
brought a lot of that back. It's people call these soft topics or people topics,
mm.
but they're really
It's
important in the
very
world of business
important.
these days. And I think a
Mm.
lot of people forget that.
Definitely. And I think that it's changing, the world of business is changing. It's more about
Mm,
being, relational, relationship building, all those soft skills that we
that's right.
that were forgotten back then, but
Yeah.
I think they've come to the forefront now to be very important. Getting into the world of car rentals as a commercial director. Tell us
Mm,
about that. So different
sure.
from civil engineering, project management to car rentals.
It's quite a turn in the career, isn't it? But it was a really tough. I'd been with Hilti when I for almost 10 years when I decided to leave them. I think it was almost 8 years when I decided to leave them to come to Pace Car Rental. It was the hardest decision of my life because I was almost at a career point where I thought, you know, I I'd become quite comfortable and I'm the type of person that growth comes with change.
Mm,
And it's not that I want to instill pain on my life, but it has been really difficult adjusting to a new industry and adjusting to a new set of people, new management styles, new leadership, new ways of doing a business. But I promise you, what I've learned at Pace Car Rental for the last 10 months, I perhaps would have taken 5 years to learn at Hilti. It was just this injection
mm,
into a new world, which is what I was looking for. And you don't have a crystal ball, so you don't always know how it's going to turn out.
yeah.
And I don't think there's anything more different than construction than car rental. I mean, those are two opposites ends of the spectrum.
Mm,
The founder of Pace Car Rental is a friend of mine. His name is Grenville Salmon, and he
mm,
started Pace 18 years ago with one
mm,
vehicle. Some of it's actually been in the Sunday Times for the last couple of weeks. We've had a few articles, but
mm.
he tells the story of how he takes it from one vehicle to almost 5,000 vehicles
Sure.
at the moment. So we're really a market player at the moment, and
Mm,
we not might not be on the airport. We're just off the airports, and we're opening a couple of branches. But the my discussion with Grenville when I joined, he had been asking me to join Pace for the last 3 years, I guess, and I'd always had something that I was working on at Hilti. But so when he finally hooked me and he brought me in, it was about two things. It was on the one hand, it was the commercial side, and it was the corporate sales, the rates, and
mm,
bringing those kind of that sales together, bringing a bit of foundation work to that, putting some systems and reporting things. So on the operational side, and then on the other side, it was a lot to do with the people, and he recognizes the need to have foundation in place to engage in our people. Now
mm,
that's a longer journey, right? That's not a 6 months fix. That's a couple of years.
mm.
But it's because the people at Pace are incredible people. And what we just want to do is create a function for hiring and keeping the best people.
So
And
cool.
that was certainly experience that I could bring over from Hilti and my previous employers.
Mm,
So that's where he brought me in, and it's a bit of a dual role at the moment. I must say I'm still in this at a directorship level, you're still finding your feet.
mm.
So it doesn't take a few months. It's a bit of a journey, but having fun and learning a lot at the same time, and that's what it's about, right?
Mm, absolutely. I think nothing beats enjoying what you do. Waking up in the morning and look at you with your well branded, jacket there, that says
Mm,
pace so boldly. It just
mm,
shows the passion that you have
mm.
for the organization that you work for. So tell us about the branches that you control and how many people. If you could just give us some numbers, and then we'll get into how you enjoy the challenge and also the balance of family.
Good. So, I mean, Pace in totality, around 350 people, and we have different
Sure.
departments. We have, it's not just car rental. We have our own tracking
Mm,
leg. We do our own workshops. We do our own panel beatings. So
mm,
it's very integrated, and then we're based in Marlborough, just off of Cromerville. So if you
mm,
could either go the one way to Santon or the other way to on
mm,
Marlborough, and you'll find Pace. And then we have 9 branches. currently 9 branches. So we've just opened in George and we're busy opening up in Nelspruit. But we have East London, PE, two in Cape Town, Kempton Park, Pretoria, Marlborough, and Umhlanga. And then and I mean that's growing. I mean we opened up Nelspruit. I think it's last week or this week. We've looked at that and we have plans for more expansion. And then we have the rent to buy section of Pace Auto Group split into Pace Car Rental and SA Motor Lease, and SA Motor Lease is the rent to buy offering that we do, and it's how we defleet our vehicles. So it's really a complex kind of setup. We're all dealing with the same assets, but we have different things for different. There's a lot of balls in the air at the moment, so it makes it quite complex and tricky. On my side, on the sales side, I have a corporate sales team, small but powerful. We always joke with them. They talk about their star signs being Taurus, the bull. Not that I'm familiar with star signs, but they're all very driven individuals and really pushing for good business. And then we're looking at local sales across the branches, and we've hired a few people from the industry with some experience. And I think that's what makes us good. We're looking for the right people, and the company's certainly growing. So it's a nice opportunity to be here. And then we always looking at rates, and we have international brokers. So we're always looking at that part of the business. So there's many things happening at the same time.
There's a lot. And I would love, in all of that, it sounds challenging, but yet, a place where you find a lot of comfort and you bring in your skills as well. Now, there's also the area of family when it comes to your life, 3 kids and a wife, and your wife also, I believe, holds a top job. So obviously you're both high achievers. Maybe tell us a little bit about that dynamic.
So my wife's the smart and the beautiful one. I'm the hard worker. She's really intelligent, and I'm grateful for her in my life because I don't know, God put this woman in my life because He knew I would. It really raises my own expectations of myself to be the better father, to be the better man, to be healthy and fit, to be social, to wake up in the mornings, and so yeah, I owe everything in terms of my drive to her because we're this great partnership. I always say, yes, I'm the head of the house, but she's the crown, and she
I like that.
she's the one wearing the jewels, and she's the one making it. She's the one that fits here, and like, what are you without a crown? So, and she's been fundamental in everything. And I've known her for a long time. We've known each other since primary school, and
Oh.
everyone, that's everyone's reaction. But
Very
so
special.
we met at an athletics event when we were in primary school, and we only started dating at the end of matric. We always went to do two different schools. I grew up in an English home, and she grew up in an Afrikaans home. And then we went to Stellenbosch together. And even at that point, it's not like the stars aligned from the beginning. If she had gone to a different university, and who would have known what happened? And we really came to know each other in university too. And we've been together now since we were 18, and I'm turning 35 at the end of the year. So, and we've been
Wow.
married for 11 years.
Sure.
So we did all of this very early on. But if you know, you know. So on the family side, we go to an Afrikaans. I send our kids to an Afrikaans school here in Johannesburg. I've somewhat converted from English to Afrikaans, Afrikaans University, Afrikaans Construction. So yeah, I've somewhat converted. But it's always been part of my family. The surname Klopper.
Yes.
It's Dirk Reinhard Klopper.
Oh my goodness.
Or
It's as
it's Dirk
Afrikaans as
Reinhard
can
Klopper.
be. We should have done the
That's
entire
right.
interview in Afrikaans, Dirk.
That's right. So depending on where I went, if I was at high school, I was the Flying Dutchman because I was Afrikaans and I jumped in the lineouts at rugby, and in university I was the Soti because I was the English guy. So it kind of
Mm.
I never always had a nickname depending on where I was. Yeah. So
Sure.
no, I mean kids, we 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 grow. We have, yes, we have a Christian home, but it's more about bringing Christ into everything that we do.
Absolutely.
It's not always just about the church or the Bible. It's at this age, it's really just about bringing Christ into the home. It's
Mm.
very, you can't quite read the Bible with them yet, but you can talk about God and you can teach them to pray, and that's kind of the family dynamic that we have and the
Mm.
setup that we have at the
Mm.
moment.
What are the non-negotiables for you when it comes to values, ethics, and beliefs? Of course, you're a believer of Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Ethics.
So, are you talking about in the home or in the workplace?
I would say all together, because what you are in the home, you also bring to the workplace, do we not?
Yes, that's right.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, some of the I've touched on a bit of it already now in this interview, but the first thing is, be who you are,
Mm.
and try and really. At some point in my career, I separated uh, my private life and my workplace.
Mm.
I guess it's healthy to an extent, but also you really want to be the same person throughout the day. And when you're talking to your kids or when you're talking to your people at work or your wife, you really want to, I don't know, just really really come through with who you are.
Mm.
I mean, it's difficult to explain, but then and then the other thing is. Um, in terms of the career part, a lot of people say that hard work is the only way to kind of get anywhere in a career. No, I don't think so. I think, for example, a lot of
Connections.
hard work.
I'm joking. Did you hear me?
No, you said
I
elections,
said connections.
connections.
Oh no, I'm only kidding, Dirk.
No, well, network, no, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't have gotten the job at Pace if it weren't for Grenville, and that was a connection of mine, so for
Mm.
sure. But definitely a lot of hard work and a little bit of luck. And it really needs to be in that order. You work hard first, and you're ready for when something comes your way. But if something comes your way and you're
Mm.
not ready for it, you're not going to get it anyway. So,
Mm.
and then when it comes to work-life balance, I don't believe in work-life balance. I don't think there's a 50-50. I'll tell you a bit about the way that I balance two very demanding parts of my life,
Mm.
and two parts of my life that I want to give my 100% to. So I work Monday to Friday. So I get to work at 8 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock
Yeah.
I leave back home, and then I'm fully present with my kids between 5 and whenever they go to bed, 7:30, 8 o'clock. I bath them. My wife and I bath them together. We're very involved. We bath them, feed them, dress them, put them to bed. Right. So and then if I have work to do, and these days I do, I have my laptop open from 8 o'clock to sometimes 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning if I really have to.
Mm.
And that's a Monday to Friday. And I cannot tell you when last I worked on a Saturday or Sunday. It's been years
Sure.
that I've worked on a Saturday or
Strict
Sunday.
discipline. Mm.
Absolute strict discipline about
Mm.
when you're working and when you're at home.
Mm.
Um, and you don't mix the two. It's impossible, especially now at this age with kids who want your time, they don't want your money.
Attention.
That's
Yeah.
right. So
Mm.
absolute strict. Don't open your phone. Don't open your laptop. Don't even know that you have a job.
Sure.
To that extent. So when you're
Mm.
with your kids, fully present. So I play golf with my son on the weekend, and you can only make 6 holes at
So
the moment, and you only
cool.
get 30 meters at a time. But we
That's
do
so
that on
cool.
weekends or we.
Yeah.
But I've never opened my laptop in front of my kids, and I've
Mm.
been very good at that. And perhaps it was this bit of a scar tissue that I had when I worked overseas for a year, right? And it was
Yeah.
and
Mm.
and so there was I missed that opportunity. Maybe there was that
Bit
reminder. But
of
that was the
trauma there that, oh my goodness, I
bit of
missed.
trauma.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's it. Split the two completely. That's certainly one of my values. And then your kids, and then you're fully present, and you can, because at this age you're not dealing with big problems. You're dealing with small
Mm-mm.
problems, but
Mm.
important problems to them.
Yeah.
Tying your shoelaces, or my kids just learned to. Well, not yet, but I want to teach him to tie his tie at school.
Mm.
It's these small things.
Yeah, and important things, Dirk, if you think of the
Mm,
bigger picture. Dirk, because of
yeah.
time, it's time for us to say goodbye, but it's been lovely meeting the man behind the title, the director of Pace Car Rental. Thank you so, so much for your time. May God bless your endeavors, bless your family, and the people that work with you. They must be so, so blessed, from this conversation that I've had with you. So thank you so much. How can we get a hold of you if someone wants to collaborate, ask a question, or just say, "Hey, man, you're doing a great job"?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'm quite active on LinkedIn. You'll find Dirk Klopper under LinkedIn. So, I mean, that's probably the easiest way to find me, and I'm quite active there. So, I respond to messages as much as I can, and if you have any more questions, I'm happy to help and happy to connect. But I've really had fun today and this morning. Thank you very much. It's
Thank
been a nice
you.
opportunity.
Thank you so, so much for your authenticity and just being vulnerable with us and sharing your story.